You know, in business, the most expensive gap isn't actually on the balance sheet. It's that huge chasm between what your customers are really asking for and what your engineers are actually building. And that gap, well, that's where budgets just evaporate, products fail, and your competitors pull ahead. So today, we're not just going to talk about that gap. We're going to give you the blueprint to close it for good.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll nail down the real problem, the why this all matters. Then, we'll unpack the solution, a framework called Quality Function Deployment. The main event, though, is going to be a deep dive into its key tool, the House of Quality. And yeah, we're going to build one right here, from scratch. After that, we'll see how to turn all that data into smart decisions and, most importantly, what it means for the bottom line. Let's jump in.
Okay, first up, let's really put a name to this thing. We call it the customer translation problem. And look, this is so much more than just a little communication hiccup. It's a massive strategic gap, kind of like a silent killer that sabotages growth in, well, pretty much every organization out there.
So this is the question every single leader needs to be asking themselves. Your customers, they're talking all the time. They're dropping clues left and right. But are your engineers actually listening? Is that critical intel getting translated into the right technical specs? Because when the answer to that is no, and let's be honest, it often is, you're not just burning through your R&D budget on features nobody asked for, you are literally handing over market share to competitors who are just better listeners.
Okay, so how do we actually fix this, right? It's a huge problem. Well, the answer isn't just try harder. It's a really rigorous, structured approach that was designed specifically for this exact translation problem. It's called Quality Function Deployment, or QFD for short.
So what is QFD really? At its heart, it's a super disciplined process that basically hardwires the voice of your customer directly into your development cycle. The whole point is to make sure that what the customer wants, we call these the whats, is baked into the product from day one. But honestly, its real power is almost political. It forces marketing, engineering, and the product teams to finally speak the same language and rally around one single data-driven goal. It's a game changer for teamwork.
Now, QFD isn't just a one-off thing. Think of it like a journey, a four-phase journey where the customer's voice just cascades down through the whole organization. It all starts with product planning. Then it flows into product design, then into process planning for manufacturing, and finally, all the way down to process control on the factory floor. But for today, we're going to zero in on that absolutely critical first phase, product planning. Why? Because that's where the magic starts. It's where we build the cornerstone tool of this whole process, the House of Quality.
All right, let's zoom right in on that cornerstone. We're talking about the House of Quality, or HOQ as you'll often hear it called. This is the planning matrix that makes the whole QFD thing work. You can really think of it as the engine room for that first phase.
So what is it? Just think of the House of Quality as your strategic blueprint. It's actually pretty simple in concept. On one side, you've got what the customers want, the whats. And across the top, you've got what your company can actually do, the technical stuff, or the hows. And the magic? That happens right in the middle, where the house creates this amazing, visual, data-driven map that connects the two. It makes your strategic priorities, and just as important, your technical trade-offs, absolutely impossible to ignore.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical. We're moving from theory to application. Honestly, the absolute best way to understand the House of Quality is to just build one. So let's do it. We're going to walk through the 6 main steps to build this thing, and we'll use a simple example everyone gets, designing a new car.
Step 1, and this is non-negotiable. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the customer. The very first thing you do is capture their voice. You need to collect and list out all the key things your target market wants. These are your whats. And here's a crucial rule. You have to use their language, not your internal company jargon. What do they actually say they want? So for our car example, let's say our market research tells us there are 5 big things people care about. They want it cheap, safe, fast, fuel efficient, and reliable. Okay, great. But now comes the most important part. We have to rank them. You've probably heard this before. If everything's a priority, then nothing is. So here we see our target customers screaming that cheap is the most important thing, a 5 out of 5. Safety is right behind it. Just doing this one thing, prioritizing, instantly brings a laser focus to the whole project. All right, step 2. We've got what the customer wants. Now the big question is, how are we actually going to deliver that? This step is all about translation. We're translating those customer wishes into concrete, measurable things that our engineers can work with. We call these the hows. These are the technical levers our team can literally pull to make things happen.
So for our car, the engineering team might come up with a list like this: weight, engine type, cost of production, expected lifetime, and so on. Now notice the key thing here. All of these are objective and quantifiable. You can measure weight, you can measure engine power. This is that translation in action. A fuzzy customer desire like speed gets turned into real hard numbers like engine type and acceleration speed.
Okay, step 3. We build the roof of the house. See that triangular bit at the very top? That's the correlation matrix. Now, what's interesting is that the roof doesn't care about the customer at all. Nope. It looks inward, at ourselves. Its job is to map out how our own technical choices affect each other. This is where we're forced to face the hard engineering realities, the trade-offs.
And we use a really simple set of symbols to do this. For example, making the car lighter, reducing its weight, has a strong, positive effect on acceleration speed. They help each other. That's a synergy. We'd mark that with a double plus. But putting in a more powerful engine will almost certainly have a strong negative effect on fuel economy. That's a trade-off, which gets a double minus. So this roof becomes a kind of dashboard for our trade-offs, showing us exactly where our decisions are going to help or hurt each other.
Step 4 is the big one. This is the heart of the house, that big grid in the middle. Here's where we finally connect the dots. We connect the customer what's from step 1 with our technical how's from step 2. We're going through one by one and asking, how much does this engineering lever really impact this customer desire?
And this is where we bring in a really important discipline. We quantify it. We don't just say, yeah, they're related. We score them. A strong relationship gets a 9. Medium gets a 3. Weak gets a 1. So for example, our cost of production has a very strong link to the customer wanting a cheap car. That's a 9 for sure. This scoring system is what turns a bunch of opinions from different teams into a hard, structured set of data we can actually work with.
Okay, step 5. Now we do the math. And it's actually pretty straightforward. With the main grid filled in, we can figure out the strategic importance of every single technical thing we're doing. For each column, each how, you just multiply the customer importance score from the side by the relationship score in the cell. Add all those up for the column, and boom, you get a final weighted score for every single engineering lever.
And what does that math give you? It gives you a crystal clear, data-driven priority list. So in our car example, let's say cost of production gets the highest score, 125. That number isn't just a number. It's a massive, unambiguous strategic signal. It tells everyone in the organization, from the CEO to the engineer on the line, that controlling production cost is the single most important thing we can do to win this customer. It tells us where to focus our energy and our money.
And finally, step 6. The last bit to build is what some people call the porch on the side of the house. This is where we bring the outside world in. We add market context. We're going to benchmark ourselves against our top competitors, but, and this is key, we do it on the customer's terms. We rate ourselves and them on how well we all deliver on those original customer what's.
And a chart like this just shows you the power of that step. It forces you to take an honest external look, to get past your own internal biases. So we might be sitting in a meeting telling ourselves, hey, we're great on safety, a solid 4 out of 5. But this chart might show us that the market sees competitor A as a 5. Ouch. That's a competitive gap staring you right in the face. It shows you exactly where you're vulnerable and where your biggest opportunities are.
Okay, so we've built the entire house. It's full of numbers and ratings. Now comes the most important part, the strategic so what. How do we turn this incredible matrix of data into a powerful tool for making smart decisions? What do we actually do with it?
You know, this quote really nails it. The house of quality is a patch. What does that mean? It's the critical link, the bridge over that communication gap we talked about at the beginning. Suddenly, marketing can see the tough technical trade-offs that engineering has to make, and engineering can see the why, the real customer importance behind a specific technical requirement. It creates a common language, a single source of truth that everyone can rally around.
All right, let's bring it all home. Let's talk about the real-world payoff. Because let's be real, why would a busy executive team invest the time and money to build one of these? What's the actual tangible impact on the business?
The bottom line is, this whole framework drives real, measurable results. When you get everyone aligned up front, you slash all those expensive last-minute engineering changes. When you focus on what customers actually care about, your product fits the market better and you spend less on warranties and service calls later. But the biggest thing? It transforms product development. It stops being a battle between marketing and engineering and sales, and it becomes one cohesive team, all executing on the same data-driven strategy.
So, in the end, the House of Quality isn't just a chart you hang on the wall. It's a disciplined way of thinking. It's a structured process for truly listening to your market and then hardwiring what you hear directly into your product's DNA. This is the blueprint for building things people don't just buy, but things they genuinely value. So now that you have the blueprint, the only question left is, what will you build?